So the top left-hand side, our blue Terran representing Newbee is going to be Time. Up against the red Terran in the bottom right-hand side from Generic Green Wings, we've got Maru opening up on King's Cove and with a proxy to Rex Reaper play. So, aggression from Maru to kick us off here in game number 1 of the best 7 series. Some cool matchups today, although for the start it's all going to be mirrored matchups with Maru versus Time here in the first 2 maps, followed by Rex versus Scarlett in the 2 maps after that, and SOS versus Dia in the 2 maps to wrap that up. So, yeah, going to be some mirrored matchups, but should be some fun. We also have Invictus Gaming taken to the stage as well a little bit later on, as they are going to be taking on the wonderful and fabulous Ocean Gaming, who have been very dominant so far in the league as well. Despite only being 1 and 2, they've definitely been the team which have shown the most hope at points, despite somehow being down 1 and 2. And so really hoping for a bit of a comeback from Ocean Gaming today. As we'll see, the obviously early scout here from Time is going to be, this is going to be a bit weird, because Time's actually opening 2 Rex Reaper of his own, and this is something Time has done recently in, TVT, where he actually goes to Rex Reaper at home, and then he goes across the map and pressures with a lot of Reapers. And it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit funky, but actually against a proxy 2 Rex Reaper of Maru, it actually puts him in a pretty good spot, right? Because he's got 2 Rex Reaper defensively against 2 Rex Reaper aggressively. Well, Maru's cut SCVs to be able to do this. He is obviously going to have his barracks out on the map. So yes, it still comes down to micro, but absolutely Time should have the units and Time should have the position defensively to be able to deal with this. Now, 1 Reaper going across the map isn't even the end of the world either, because you can still send this across and get damage done. Maybe he will pull it back. There's a couple different options, and both have their strengths and weaknesses as these 2 Reapers show up. Time, oh, well that's really bad. He's going to lose 1 Reaper right away. This is where things can already start getting a bit out of hand if you're not careful. The Reaper from across the map now will come back home. SCVs don't quite find this around, and this is where Maru will start to get a lot of damage done. The next Reaper from Time up and running now. There's now going to be 3 Reapers against 1. So this is where it doesn't go so well for Time, and this is where, imagine Time had got the first Reaper kill against Maru. Maru would also look to be in a ton of trouble. As you're going to see the couple of Reapers and SCVs pulling in with them. Grenades going to blast those SCVs up. Maru is out of there with that Reaper alive. Only just managed to save that there, but saves it nonetheless. And well, there is now a factory up from Time, so you can get a Hellion out. 7 SCVs lost, though. Maru has already found some very good damage, and of course neither of them on an expansion. So Maru setting up 4 workers is pretty nice. As he jumps up here again, he will lose 1 Reaper to kill 1, and he'll get another as well. So he's absolutely taking the advantage. And while I was very hopeful for Time, it fell apart very quickly. As soon as you lose that first Reaper, it's just a bit of a disaster, and it's because I've played TVT games where I lose my first Reaper, and when it's not 2 Rex Reaper even, and the game just spirals out of control from there as well. It's obviously just one of those things, as unfortunately our blue Terran didn't last too long in game number 1. Let's see if we can bounce back a bit in game number 2. This is Time from Newbee. He starts on the bottom right hand side of Kairos Junction. And to the top left hand side we have got our red Terran player Maru. Here for game number 2. No proxy, so it doesn't look as though it'll be as short and sweet as game number 1, but we'll see what he does go into here, what his build's going to look like as he already starts up that barracks. Does start it up away from the wall off, so I'm not going to expose it too much here at all. Kairos is one of these maps where the production structures are very close to a siegeable position if you wall off with them. So if a siege tank sieges up over here, that barracks is in trouble, the reactor it builds is in trouble. And so Maru just dropping down the barracks over here instead. It just puts this add-on in a much safer position. And the wall off here can still be 3 depots. Yes, he won't be as walled off as early on, but that's a risk he takes for then having better protection just a little bit later in the game. Is this the first time Maru has played in this league? No, Maru played against Team LP. He played against Patience, and he played an ace match in that series as well. So it was, yeah, definitely something that he's definitely played before. Factory on the way up on each side of the map, so continuing through with this at the moment. You're going to see the SCV dropping down a depot. Maru coming forward to try and see what's up. Another depot dropping down in the main base. Reaper still on the way up, and again, all of this just getting set up. So again, if you just look at kind of Time's build here, you'll see when he builds this reactor, it's still very exposed if a tank attack was to come in from this sort of position. So you have to be A little bit cautious about that as we see the next Reaper on the way up. So it is going to be 2 Reapers apiece, both of them on double gas and looking to expand beyond that double gas with workers pulled out. A little bit of gas, different amounts of gas income. Time is about 40 gas ahead of Maru, but there's nothing too significant that's not going to be like, you know, figured out at some stage. That's interesting though. A Widow Mine before a Hellion. Widow Mine openings are not the most common, but it's something that you can throw in here every now and then, and it is very good if you are able to bait units into that Widow Mine shot at the front. It does mean you don't have the Hellion, etc. though, so you don't have the mobility to kind of take to the map yourself, because you're very reliant on the Widow Mine connection, more so than, you know, being able to move out and use that Hellion's mobility and so on to join up with the Reapers and to poke across the map, etc. So Time definitely more so looking to sit back at home and utilize that Widow Mine a little bit here. While on the other side of things, we're going to be seeing the starport dropping down on each side, Cyclone coming up. Yeah, Maru's just, Maru's playing just like a very sound style as well. A couple of Reapers, 3 in total, a couple of Hellions. It looks like he's not even going to bother with the factory. Going into, well, he's going into the tech lab on the factory now and a tech lab on the racks too. So maybe he is going to go Cyclone, or, I mean, he definitely wants to put the starport on one of these. The barracks doesn't need a tech lab at this stage of the game. So yeah, Cyclone and probably a Raven as well, unless he wants to go for something like a Cloak Banshee potentially. So, we'll see what happens. What's up, Whoosh, coming in, starting the day with a 5 sub bomb. Thank you so much, Whoosh. Gifting out to Aloha, I'm Blood, Matt VXDD, and Murray Sassis, and We Love Wee Wee. Thank you so much for the combination of some very interesting names. Thank you so much, Whoosh, for some gifted subs, and welcome to the stream, everybody. Pushes us just back over 400 subs again. We're really having a tough battle with the sub count. I honestly thought we weren't going to drop any subs for a while. And then we dropped like 15 since I last streamed, and I was like, what? How? We streamed like yesterday. It's, yeah. I don't know. Anyways, can talk about that a bit more later and if we have any downtime. Let's focus up on the StarCraft 2, because that's what we're here for. Raven and a Cyclone continue to build. Reactor coming up on the barracks. I'm just going to be seeing that Raven coming out to sit overhead with the rest of these units, so all of this getting ready to go as we see a couple of Reapers from Time heading down the low ground, looking to push across. Raven on the way out as well, getting set up to rumble as well. As we're going to be seeing Raven apiece. I mean, really nothing too crazy at all. Both of them going up to double Raven. Time's going to be Maru's going to be the first player to go into a third command center though, so he's sent up into his third CC. He's actually already pushing across the map with these couple of Cyclones. Now, a siege tank from Time, he's playing a much more defensive position, so is looking to sit back at home and sort of, you know, chill out a little bit here. More so than anything else, as we do see the units coming back towards the upper left. So Maru's not actually going to attack in, and I don't think he could have done much anyways. Raven defensively, siege tank 2. It's going to be really tough to realistically push into that. You're going to have to take a very favorable engagement out of basically nothing. So, yeah. So X-Force, who wants to drop 5 subs as well, thank you so much. Hits up Alice for 2 months as the Widow Mine goes off on an early Reaper. Hold them forts because we do have these units trying to press forwards, but there's the tanks to turn them away. Okay. Thank you so much, X-Force, for giving a sub for 2 months to Alice. Cappy27, welcome. Capelchino coming in with the 1 month. Angry S2 for 1 month. And Cuba PS for 1 month as well. Welcome to the Wardy family, guys. Good to have you, as we do see. Now, he continues some aggression. He actually is able to lock on and kill that SCV build in the third, so I mean, somehow Maru is finding a way to deal damage here, even though Time has got the most defensive setup you'll see at this stage of a TVT. Triple tank, Viking, Raven. I mean, how on earth you find damage, I don't know. Time does just press his defenses that little bit further forwards. But Maru's done. He knows his opponent's going to be fixing those little gaps in his defense, and he's already pulling away with Cyclones, etc. up to the top left-hand side. Thank you for the gifted subs, guys. Do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I was having a little wine on Twitter already today. Like I said, we'll maybe talk about that between some games. But, yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate the love as we do see Time. Well, he's going to take the opportunity to get aggressive himself. I mean, he does have the siege tank count, right? But he doesn't have the Viking count. All the turrets are going to drop down here, and Interference Matrix from Time onto Maru's Raven. Time actually still has a lot of Interference Matrix available. Now Maru's tanks show up kind of out of nowhere. I guess that's just because we haven't looked back at Maru's base in a while. And that's going to be an Interference Matrix, the one that Maru has left onto that tank. good on Siege, though. And Sieges it as the Matrix is flying in, so before the tank is affected, means he can reposition it and he can keep it alive. Although Time could have thrown down a Matrix of his own if he wanted to shut down the tank of Maru. And Maru positions to the right-hand side. Well, Time is kind of going up the left-hand side. He probably can mostly sneak into this base without too much tank fire going off. Interference Matrix is both of the Ravens, but he needs something on the tanks, I feel. Here you go, the Vikings going to fight against each other. He does hit one tank to the left side. Now he drops down some mortar turrets to help out as well. This will help him in the air fight as the Vikings, well, Maru will be pushed back. And these tanks are firing, but well, it feels like now Maru is just going to recover, and he's got the Viking count. He's got still a Raven up and running as well. You can see that Time knows he's outdone in terms of the Viking count, so he lands his Vikings onto the ground. This does expose his tanks to maybe Vikings landing on top of them. Well, that Raven is just dead. There's no way to protect that at all. Ravens can't land like Vikings can. And Time takes a lot of damage from his army just from shots here and there. He will supply block Maru, though, and he does kill 10 SCVs, so he brings Maru's economy back down a little bit. Got 4 extra barracks behind this. See another tank showing up, but Maru takes a lot of damage, and Time takes a lot of damage on this tank, and that's the problem. Time is just sort of losing units here and losing units there. It's a little bit sloppy from him, so losing out on a few units definitely not going well just yet, as we are going to be seeing. The tank's pulling back just a little bit now. A couple cycles around the side. Oh my god, that's such a frustration. He locks on, and oh, he gets both the tanks for one of the cyclones. That's absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it, because there is no way you wanted to kind of have cyclones later in the game, right? Cyclones are absolutely a unit that are much better now than they are later. So trading off a cyclone for 2 tanks, well, tanks are always going to be good in the world of TVT. So great trade there for Maru towards the end as well. And he holds this off. Although 9 workers down, he does have quite the army advantage. The fact he's got this like Raven and Viking count is incredible, because they really thought Maru had lost a lot of his Vikings in those fights, especially when the auto turrets came down. Not the case at all. It's not like Time has been building anything else. I mean, Maru has this Viking count while still also having 2 Liberators. It's actually a bit ridiculous, as Maru again his combat shields is the one thing he's missing at the moment, but this has been a very non-marine game so far, so the lack of a combat shields will not have had too much of an effect just yet. So here we go, now Maru pushing down to the bottom side of the map, and well, obviously going to be tough to break into a defensive Time, but he does have that Raven with some energy, so he does have the Interference Matrix available to him. As this attack comes down to the bottom, Vikings, Marines setting up, and again, Sensor Tower, at least from Time, will see this attack coming in. He's already building a 4th base in position, by the way. I mean, in terms of economy, Time's doing just fine. In terms of dealing with these Liberators, he's not doing so hard as he loses 1 tank. His tank line gets forced backwards, and as he gets forced backwards here as Time, well, the tanks of Maru advance into position where they can hit this base. Interference Matrix hit the Vikings until the air control continues to be in Maru's favor as more tanks going down. Time just has no way to answer those Liberators, as the SCVs even pulling into this now as well. He's going to attempt to push on forwards here. There's still energy on that Raven if you want to use it for anything. Maru just refuses to use his own Marines to attack as Time. A counter-attack across the map will get quite a lot of SCVs at least. Well, it's something. I mean, he absolutely needs to kind of kill the base, though, if he wants to make up. Well, I guess he does have the base at the top side, so he is kind of up a base. Those Marines will trade out. Well, Maru is still down by 10 workers, but it's just the army supply. Too many tanks lost from Time, and so he wasn't able to really stabilize an army count at all for him here. Stop him down. Now it's only 1 siege tank, and Maru says I can attack him with 1 siege tank all day long. Gonna Green Wings take the 2-0 lead in the series of our next 2 maps. Bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg player. Give it up if you're cheering on Rex. And at the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg. Looking to put some points on the board for Newbee. We have got Scarlett. I believe this is the first time Rex faces a non-Korean player. We'll see how he does, because he's had moments of greatness in that he's just not been able to capitalize for Jin-Air. We'll see if that changes here today as we get this underway. After this, we do have SOS versus Deer lined up as well, guys. Remember that no matter the score after this series, or after these 2 maps, we still play all 6 of the initial maps in every series. And the 7th map will get played if it is tied up 3-3. But even if it goes 4-0, for example, we still play maps number 5 and 6 for the sake of map score and for the sake of content. So you can still look forward to some more StarCraft here, no matter what, as we do see the Overlord heading in towards the upper right-hand side of the map. So Overlord heading up towards the top right and looking to see what's going on. As we do just have hatch, gas and pool on each side of the map, so nothing too crazy, nothing too ridiculous. Everything just taking a little while to get set up here this time around, as you will see link speed starting up from Scarlett in the main base. A couple of queens coming out on each side, a couple of drones on the way. And that Overlord just continuing across for Rex. He's going to be able to get here to see the third hatchery being taken, which gives him a bit of an indicator that it probably is just your very typical link speed opening. Nothing too crazy, not any sign of, roaches on the way super early either. The third hatch at this sort of timing, it just sort of makes sense if you've got the intention of going in towards lings. It's tough to cancel link speed with a hatch that early, because if you cancel link speed and your opponent gets link speed, how do you defend the third base? Well, you just kind of don't, so it puts you in a bit of a tough spot. So it pretty much guarantees link speed is coming up, and very likely to be a Baneling Nest along with it, to play a little bit of Ling Bane. A few more drones on the way out here from Scarlett in the main base, so getting a few of these set up and rolling. Do you see that one link of Rex just continuing out in towards the center? And more drones just on the way up, and Queen on the way out from Rex as well. So all of this just still that kind of setup stage. Rex did make a few more lings, or something, because he's down 7 drones. So he must have made something, or he's just a little bit later on his drones. He's down 8 drones here, with only 6 in production, so definitely just has a couple extra units, while Scarlett's getting away with a few less. Scarlett doesn't even have lings to kind of morph in Banelings yet, so there's just that difference of a couple of workers here and there. And Rex now throwing down the Evo Chamber as well, though that is already behind Scarlett's too. So Scarlett, just in general, I mean, just little bits of lead and economy are starting to grow into a bit of an advantage. You can see where the first drone lead was really taken here, and that's currently being fairly well maintained. It is just that difference of, Scarlett just cut at his unit count for a long time. Rex built that little bit more. Rex does have 2 Banelings in the main base, though, and Scarlett actually has no response to this, apparently. Queen coming up to the main, but that's going to inject. It's not going to do anything fancy. Over here, at least to get some damage on towards these Banes, and Scarlett will pull her drones away. That's actually still a nice connection. 4 workers down. And a couple of lings trying to sneak into the main, because there's a couple of low health drones that are very easily targeted down here, of course. One Zergling does get shut down, though, and pretty much everything is dealt with here. This +1 missile attack continues on that Evo Chamber and the natural expansion. Rotron Lair on the way up. Lair is about halfway done as well. And Rex just continuing with his own Lair about to finish also here. So that Lair about to finish, Rotron about to finish too. And again, +1 missiles. Just continuing to move on through this. What's up, anti-Zionists, coming in with the Twitch Prime, sub for 3 months, get some love in the chat for another resub today. Says, what are you, the best caster? Can't imagine anyone doing as good as you do on your own. Keep up the good job. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime and for the kind words. Thank you very much for the 3 months of love. As we are just going to see these Zerglings pressing forwards, and the Baneling just trying to keep itself alive. The first roaches from Scarlett are out, and that's something that Rex will now see. Seeing this right here is Newbee's Carapace on the way up on the third base as well. The Overseer from Rex flying out through the main into the natural expansion. And again, just that Queen continuing to tap its way through the Overseer. So Overseer taking quite a bit of damages. 7 more roaches on the way out. Drop a Lord on the way in as well from Scarlett. So that's just over halfway done to try and get some pressure going. I mean, a few roaches dropping into the main, etc. can definitely be an annoyance. So actually sending the Baneling forwards. Is that the intention? I mean, doesn't have any other Banelings, as we're going to be seeing Rex actually start a Nidus network. Now I tell you what, if Scarlett invests into Aspire, a Nidus network can be pretty deadly in this situation, because you first of all imagine that this Rex actually is going to catch a roach here as well. Certainly, that's really nice. So Rex is not only going to be able to bring Queens across the Pine Builders, but he's going to hit at a time where Scarlett is investing a lot of money into Mutalisks, which means that Scarlett is going to be behind a bit on the roaches generally. That would be true if Scarlett was saving money for Mutalisks, but actually she isn't. She's actually just building more roaches, straight into +2 missiles as well. So even the investment into +2 missiles could be a little bit funky here. Is Rex just not expecting Banelings in this? Okay, he will pull his drones away, and we'll see a couple of Banes dropping down into nothing though. I mean, Good response by these drones to pull back. Oh, loses a couple here as they run back in, but not that deadly, and the drop lord will die. So Scarlett's Bane drop isn't too successful, all said and done. I mean, 3 drones is not anything game-changing, as we do see the Knight's Network will now come into play. It's going to come into that base in the corner, and Scarlett just misses it for a moment. Now she will be able to see it, and some of her roaches will be on the way back to deal with it. Quite a lot of roaches here. Meanwhile, Rex has his army out on the map as well, though. As this Nidus will not come up, it will be denied. Just builds a Nidus in the middle of the map. We still don't see any sign of going into Mutalisks here from Scarlett. As she adds on a few more roaches, will even up the army supplies. That +2 missiles over halfway done. If that finishes, that's going to be a huge advantage to Scarlett in terms of being able to continue turning this around. As roaches on the right side here continue to hit this hatchery, but I mean, they are suiciding, and that's going to be a lot of roach kills for Scarlett, as Rex doesn't even get the hatchery. Well, now Rex is coming down around this bottom side, trying to get on top of this army, but another Nidus Network is unlikely to really come up and have much to say in this. You see Rex's numbers are dropping pretty quickly, and Scarlett just seems to be jumping on smaller portions of this army every single time we see a fight. And this is again just a bunch of roaches going down. I mean, a couple more cut off as they get into the Nidus Network. At least this 4th base did get killed off. That's the one thing Rex has done here so far, but even that cost him a ton of roaches compared to the effectiveness of shutting down a 4th base. Yeah, Scarlett probably wants to mine off a 4th base, sure, who wouldn't, but she's not exactly dying to, right? Like, it's not like a main and an actual and 3rd base are mining out, and if she doesn't have that 4th base, she has no money. She can absolutely play this position at the moment. This is basically her Nidus defense squad. These roaches going to run into the main base, shut down this Nidus as well. She is going across the map. Rex will come down the ramp to greet this. A couple corrosive bars on either side. Those roaches getting rid of that Nidus Network. 7 more Mutalisks on the way up. 7 more roaches as well. And still this army of Scarlett just hanging out here in the center of the map. Roaches and Ravagers pressing forward. A couple corrosive bars will land. And this army of Rex continues to push through and continues to get rid of a lot of this army. So gets rid of the Ravagers at least, but Scarlett still has more roaches. Able to push up this ramp. So Scarlett pushing up the ramp for a moment or two there. We do see the other roaches from Rex popping out. Now Scarlett goes into Mutalisks. I mean, now the Nidus Network is unlikely to bring Queens across to support against this, because they've been shut down so consistently anyways. What do you do now? Well, I mean, Hydrogen starts. But that's going to take a little while to truly get set up here. And Scarlett has her own lurker den on the way as well, so she's already ready to transition into the next stage of her game, which is going to be very strong on the ground. And I've got hiccups, which is making it really difficult to cast. Apologies. My god. Okay. Okay, I think I'm over the hiccups. Sorry, we've been watching Scarlett's roaches kill some other roaches for a few moments here. As we get this up. It's flying in overhead, and we are going to see some of those roaches and Ravagers being chased down. So Scarlett's still able to get quite a bit done. Spore Crawler going to get picked off here. Hatchery taking some damage as well. A couple of corrosive battles dropping, and well, again, a lot of roaches jumping in from Scarlett. Remember, Scarlett actually has those upgrade advantages too. Rex never built +2 missiles, never invested into +1 carapace, so never had those upgrades. So it's actually just down on upgrades in these fights as well. I mean, GG. Scarlett is able to put one on the board for Newbee. So Scarlett and Newbee run away with that game. And if Scarlett just runs away with that game, then you're also going to look silly for just sitting back and doing nothing, right? It was over when Rex decided to be aggressive and it didn't work out. And it got worse when, he tried to make something happen from there. But I don't necessarily think that was the wrong decision. It was just well defended by Scarlett in the first place. Top left-hand side, our red Zerg player from Jinair Greenwings trying to take them to a 3-1 lead before the PvP section of this series. Our red Zerg is going to be Rex. As down to the bottom right-hand side, our blue Zerg player from Newbee is Scarlett. Had eye surgery last week, and I believe last time we heard that maybe this match is going to be moved because of Scarlett's eye surgery, but She's obviously here in planes, so it seems as though she's able to play and all of that stuff, so that's nice for her. And nice for Newbee as well. It's nice for us not having to delay a series or anything like that. And getting some nice action out of it. Again, how's everyone doing out in the chat today? As you have a hatch gas pool opening, just gives you a moment to say hello. Thanks for tuning in to the not the WardiTV, the China Team Championship here on WardiTV. Every Saturday and Sunday, China Team Championship action from 1:30 PM CEST. Also, shout out to the WardiTV European League. Week 2 starts on Wednesday, every Wednesday and Thursday, 6 PM CEST for WardiTV European League action. Would be great if you guys could join us for that. We had a lot of fun in week number 1. So, yeah. Hit that follow button, see when we're going live. Come watch some StarCraft 2 with us. And good to see you all here today, watching some Jin Green Wings versus Newbee action in week 4 of this league. So watching the Overlord, not much else is going on. Queen's starting on each side, a couple of Lings as well. I really feel as well Rex just got behind early in that last game. I don't know what it was. I don't know what part of his build was not as well refined as Scarlett's. But he was behind a significant number of workers for a significant number of time. We saw that income graph really changing to be a big difference, you know? All of a sudden Scarlett just had that big mountain of income advantage, and that never really went away for a while, and that obviously gives Scarlett a whole bunch of extra units down the line to help defend against whatever Rex tried to go for. We'll pay a bit more attention this time around and see if something similar happens. For now, third hatchery at the exact same time, and Link speed on the way up as well. Playing this dropping down on each side of the map, and again, third hatchery also dropping as well, so really everything just mirrored so far. Drones from both players. There it is. There's a big round of drones from Scarlett, and what is Rex doing in this time? Making a couple more Lings, making an Evo chamber. He's making some drones of his own, so he's gonna keep up a little bit. I mean, a couple extra Lings obviously make a difference. The Evo chamber obviously costs a drone too. See Banelings of Rex morphing in down that ramp, and just already setting up some defenses here just in case they're needed. But yeah, this is all of a sudden, you know, really kind of feels like out of nowhere. Suddenly Scarlett's 5 workers ahead, and if we look at the income tab here, there's that little bit of a mountain starting to climb. It's not as severe as last game, but it is still going to be maintained as Scarlett makes even more drones. Just now she's going to make some army, and it's the exact same story. Scarlett didn't make anything else, whereas Rex made that little bit more. And that's actually made a hell of a difference here. Suddenly Scarlett's just up 7 drones for a few moments. Now it's going to be evening out a little bit as Scarlett takes the opportunity to build an extra queen. And choose what she wanted to build for a moment or so, but she's definitely just got those moments where she just has that extra income, and it's little things like that at this level which will define players from being the best of the best versus I'm very good. But if you fall behind every game because you're making drones in the slight wrong order, you're absolutely going to have a tough time trying to take a win because it affects everything you do. Going to be seeing the Lings backing away through the center, and we're just going to see the Overlord in the middle as well. Zergling's on the way to the right hand side from Rex, so we'll just be seeing this attack. Trying to get something done over here. Scarlett only just now getting her Banelings up. Might have some trouble saving this queen. The Banes come through though, and Rex is unable to capitalize on the queen just yet. A couple of Lings he peels away to try and hit those Banelings are so far unsuccessful. As one final Zergling goes up in towards the main base, but is going to be in quite a bit of trouble. And Scarlett, well, I guess that roach speed started, and already has the ability to go into that. She's going to drop the Nidus network this time around. So Scarlett building the Nidus. Going to be obviously a pretty interesting way for this to go. So Nidus network begins to build up, and just going to be seeing the roach speed continuing too. Overlord on the way out. New test carapace did just finish, and +1 missiles as well. All of this just finishing up here now as 9 more roaches being built as well. And these Zerglings of Scarlett coming out over to the left-hand side. We're going to be seeing some Zerglings of Rex pushing forwards here. Bringing connection is good, so Rex actually cleans up those Zerglings. That is rather nice. Obviously, we're waiting to see Scarlett's Nidus. She drops it down over here. Rex will see that in a moment if this Overlord keeps moving. So he knows the Nidus is on the way. Does he move forwards to jump on it? He just invested into +2 missile attacks. That's an investment which will not help him in the foreseeable future. There's a Nidus. Little Bane's going to come out of this in the lead. As now the Roaches too. Another Nidus up into the main base. The Skull's going to try and attack in multiple locations. She will not have the numbers to fight over here. Looks like she'll just go up into the main base where her opponent is obviously a little bit out of position in comparison to having everything in position on that third. You can see the amount of Roaches already pouring out here, and Scarlett is able to jump on some of these Roaches of Rex. Having high ground as well means that Scarlett can actually, if she wants to, jump on these Roaches as they come up the ramp, but she's already still kind of fighting these units on the left-hand side. Scarlett spread a creep tumor here as well, gives her that speed and the creep connection back over here. Rex never killed this Nidus network, and that allows the Roaches to pour out of it and to come in and attack this base again, and I really feel like that's a bit of a problem, as now Rex is once again going to be undemanned in the main base, and these Roaches are dropping quickly. So Rex is just running around all over the place now. Holding on here will give him the +2 missile attack upgrade advantage, so it's kind of building in towards that as these Roaches pour out again. Already chasing down Roaches. Queen in some trouble too. A couple of these Roaches are going to go down. Scarlett's just got so much on this third baseman. I'm just going to get Queen and now a few drones as well. The Knight is coming in a lot closer, and these reinforcements are going to be pretty quick to arrive as well. And you can see drones turning around from Rex and joining this fight. But Scarlett just has the numbers game, and she's going to win this out before the +2 missile upgrade finishes for Rex. The one thing he had to kind of hold on for an advantage is just not going to come in time. If Rex gets the numbers up here to turn Scarlett around, Scarlett's just going to hop into this Nidus, and maybe this Nidus dies, but reinforcements will join Roaches as they go into the main base now. And this is going to be even more drones, and we're now talking about a 20 worker difference, so in terms of recovering, it becomes more and more difficult for Rex. He's already down on army, is now mining less as well. What is he meant to do? There's another Nidus attempts to come up with it. Yeah, Rex knows it's over, and Newbee will tie us up 2-2 in this best of 7. So all tied up. Yeah. These are going to be played in this. To the top left-hand side, we have got the Red Protoss player from Jeanette Greenwings. This is SOS. Up against the Blue Protoss, the bottom right-hand side, Deer. Now how this works, if one of these players wins 2-0, we will obviously have a victor in the series. But if they go 1-1 against each other, we will get into an ace match, which means that any player from either team can show up and play. Obviously, Maru is around today, and Maru has been picked for an ace match before by Jeanette Greenwings, so it's definitely possible to see that once again. And perhaps we will. So we'll just sit to find out. Just get into this and see a gateway piece on the moment. Second gate's obviously dropping down. No surprises. The early scouting comes in. There's a pylon out on the map from Deer though, so proxying a little bit of something is SOS on his way down this side with a probe too. He was obviously seen by the probe of his opponent. SOS is kind of like, well, why was your probe here? Oh my god. That moment when you both try and proxy the same location of the map. Oh no. Well, SOS will say, you know what, fair enough, mate. You moved in here first. You take this position. And he'll cancel his proxy pylon altogether. So SOS cancels that proxy. Now, Deer might not have been looking to use this pylon at all. This very well may have just have been a pylon from Deer where it's one of those situations where you're just like, okay, let's try and mind game a little bit. In the main base, it looks like I'm missing a pylon, so he probably thinks it's some kind of a proxy. But in reality, it's just a pylon hidden out here. And obviously now it's scouted, SOS will be like, okay, well, you're not actually doing anything crazy. He just drops down his own Stargate. We'll probably see Deer just going straight into an expansion with these couple Stalkers now into a couple Sentries. He'll have the money to expand pretty quickly. As SOS will as well. Obviously, he's built that Stargate rather than 2 Sentries, so it's a bit of a difference in terms of what both players are building. And SOS comes across the map with the first 2 Adepts already to get in and try and get something done. Let's see again, a couple of Adepts taking some damage from that Stalker. Stalker's pushing this back just a moment or so, and again a couple of Adepts up the right-hand side. Setting themselves up to shading around, Sentry and a Stalker on the way out of the main base. And again, the 2 Adepts just moving out into the middle. dropping down is about halfway done in the next few moments. Twilight Council drops down into the main base as well. And Oracle about to finish up too, as again a couple of adepts here just hanging out over on the far left hand side. Forge starts up in the main base. Going to see the Twilight Council too in the main on the other side. So it's going to be Deer of the Forge. SOS still a bit more aggressive, right? Twilight Council still says let's do something in the near future rather than let's build up upgrades for the rest of the game. Oracle flies in. That's a couple of workers, so 3 probes going down. It's not bad at all for the first little Oracle here. A couple Stalkers from Deer trying to come back home, and both players up. But that expansion, SOS still down a couple of probes here so far. Link still on the way up from SOS, so again, definitely looking to be the one who takes map control here and gets control of this. 2 Stalkers and an Adept. Going down to the bottom. Yeah, it's quite a lot of gateway units, plenty of Stalkers, a few sentries. G to see what happens with the +2. Probably feeling like, I mean, still has to get Twilight before you can build into +2 in Temple Archives, but obviously feels like one of these styles where, well, he drops the Robo as well. Feels like a style where maybe you're looking to hit a kind of a big +2 attack. I'm just going to see the depth pressing forwards. It's going to be turned away. Shading back though, stays alive. Hallucinated Phoenix from Deer. And then Manu coming in with the 5,500 bits. Using that 5,000 bit cheer with the bleed purple means that Twitch add-on 10% for free. Thank you so much. Get some love in the chat. That's a hell of a bit donation out of nowhere. Thank you so much. Get some love and some hype in the chat, please, for Anna and Manu. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you so very much. Oh, you guys are awesome. Whenever I have a shitty day and I'm in a bad mindset, you guys always show up and you're like, boom, sub-bomb, boom, bits. It's crazy. Thank you so much. And there's some love in the chat for a big bit donation. Thank you so much. There's some love in the chat. Stalkers come in and shut down its hallucination. This is a really important match, remember, guys. The winner of this goes on to match point. You can see SOS making use of the blink so far. Brings one of those Stalkers back in. Is able to keep it alive, though, and gets 2 Stalkers for no losses. Nicely done so far. He's going to be seeing charge coming up on each side of the map. A couple more Stalkers gathering together here. A few of these Stalkers and sentries going down the ramp as well. 1 Stalker already picked off. And again, just going to be seeing the Oracle coming through. A couple more probes going down. 5 probes getting picked off here. 6 getting picked off. Not bad at all, is we're just going to be seeing the Oracle flying up the right hand side. Again, Stalkers going in here. A couple of them blinking away, and well, still not bad at all. I really feel like SOS is controlling this game with the probe kills, with the presence on the map with these Stalkers. He is not having a +2 upgrade though, so he is behind on the Forge upgrades. I mean, that's expected. He took a later Forge to begin with. Pops the barrier on that Immortal just in case he finds an opportunity to fight it soon. SOS even has that faster third base, so he's already manning off of 3 bases. It's pretty funky here. There's a couple of High Templar going to warp in. And there's a few more Zealots as well over on that left hand side. Seeing the Nexus taking some damage. Couple of Archons Immortal on the way up, and a nice Stalker shot is able to pick off that Oracle. Finally, the Oracle going down. I mean, that's a real help because SOS has done so much with this Oracle, and Dia's been very reluctant to actually throw down a shield battery in the mineral lines. Old Prism coming through the top side. A couple of Archons going to be dropping into the main base. And again, this army, the Zealots and so on, coming back along, but it is nice to see Dia getting in to get some damage done. Actually going to be able to get a pylon here, perhaps. A couple of Zealots coming through. It's a shame because empowering 4 gateways obviously does have quite an effect on things. +3 attack on the Forge. +2 on the other side. I mean, it's again Dia continuing with that attack upgrade lead. And SOS, while he has that slight supply advantage, is still behind a bit on upgrades. Now, if SOS hits with +2, that could get interesting. SOS even making the one single Phoenix because he already has the Stargate. So making the single Phoenix now to come and hunt this Warp Prism down. And the Stalker's going to get into a couple of positions. Just making sure this Warp Prism isn't going to be able to get out of here unless it's recalled. Well, gets another couple of probes. And Warp Prism hanging out in the bottom left. Going to be seeing 4 more Zealots continue to come through in this army, pressing into the center of the map. We'll see what will happen here as Warp Prism continues down to the bottom side. Got more Archons warping in. I mean, if SOS wanted to attack, now would be the time before +3 is done for his opponent. He hasn't started +3 of his own, right? So, sort of suggests something might happen, as we're going to be seeing a bunch of Zealots starting to warp, the Archons as well, and just going to be seeing SOS just, I mean, playing with the idea of doing something on this top side, but isn't going to commit in just yet. Wow, why is Dia moving everything over to the main base? I mean, did you not see this army? Maybe he didn't. Well, that's really brutal, because now everything is moving in towards the main. Okay, he does send some of his army back down to the low ground. Well, this is Gateways being unpowered, though, and this is kind of a big deal, losing a lot of production here. Not easy for Dia to clean this up as more and more Zealots warp in. This army up to the top wants to fight as well. There's a lot of Archons here, though, from Dia. You've got to be careful about that. Maybe a warping of High Templar and into Archons could help SOS out a lot, but SOS is already putting himself into a great spot as we're going to be seeing the Zealots continue to put in some work on the right-hand side. Nice Archon micro out of Dia to save the day a little bit, but the fact that SOS is still warping in Zealots in the main, I mean, that's just disastrous for Dia. He can't warp in enough because he's lost too many probes and his production is unpowered. I mean, a couple of Immortals are showing up here now as well to help out, but so much being lost. And SOS has to absolutely just be looking at this as whenever he gets a few High Templar up here and a few more Archons, this push into this third base is going to be an absolute massacre for Dia. SOS drops down these Archons yet again, and he needs to get some pretty good damage done. There's also a bit clumped up, so they're not doing as much as they could be, but they're still doing enough. As there we go, the 4 more Archons, and I think that is just a sign of it is time to fight on the third base. Still saves these Archons over here. I mean, this Oracle, I don't even know why there's another Oracle, because one of them died earlier, but it comes back in and it gets a little bit more damage done, and here we go. So Stalker's Archons setting up to start pressing in towards the third. We're going to be seeing the Zealots keep on charging through. Something gets picked off as well. A couple more force fields continue to drop, and Archon's getting quite a bit done. These Zealots are in an obviously very terrible position, but both players' Zealots are in pretty awful positions, so it's kind of evening out somewhat, and SOS can still be able to move through very easily to swiftly take this win. Game number 5. Going to be shutting this one down, and Janae Greenwings will go on to match point here. With 5 maps played, they have 1 to win, and they will take this series down and continue to advance through to the top of the... So fast. Alrighty, top left-hand side needs to win this to keep his team alive. In the red, this is Dia representing Newbee. Up against the blue cross, the bottom right-hand side, we've got SOS from Janae Greenwings, who are on match point. Newbee, absolutely not the performance we expected from them. With a loss against Psystorm in the first week, they went then lost against Player 1 in week 2. And in week 3, they finally picked up a win against Ocean Gaming. And that was impressive because Time took down Zest in that series. And I mean, that was finally a moment where I was like, woohoo, like, this is it. Newbee are back in track. But then that momentum gets broken by Janae Greenwings, apparently, if Dia can't win here. So Dia kind of needs this. It's a big one for Newbee because this is the difference between dropping down to 1 and 3 in the group or going 2 and 2. And I think that Newbee absolutely should be a team aiming for the top 4 of this league. And I really feel like so far they've just missed out on that a little bit. Probe hanging out on the bottom left-hand side, and there's going to be potentially a proxy here then from Dia. Obviously, no sign of... And what is it with these guys putting pylons in the same positions on the map? Obviously, these pylons are not right next to each other like they were in the last game, but they are still pretty much in similar directions. But this time it's sOs who's really just going to pull his probe back, so may not look to make use of this pylon, while Dia will keep his probe right next to it, which obviously suggests there will be something coming down. There will be something building off of this. So there you go. A Stargate starting up. So Stargate gets going as we've seen a couple of Stalkers, a couple of Adepts on the way out. That Warp Gate coming through here from Dia as well. And there's a couple of Adepts continuing along, just over halfway done at the moment. Warp Gate still ticking through here as well as the probe going to drop down through this into this main base. So imagine 512 coming in with the Twitch Prime sub for 3 months. Get some love in the chat for the Twitch Prime. Thank you so much for Twitch Prime, and appreciate it. As now a couple of these Adepts from D are going to be heading down through the center. There's definitely something wrong with my expert because now it's not even giving us sub messages. So yikes! Let's just hope it doesn't crash. That would really suck. There's a couple of Stalkers moving around as well. More Adepts coming around the right-hand side and positioning themselves to continue onwards and towards this natural expansion. A couple of Adepts will shade. Stargate is about halfway done. And again, the Nexus just dropping down here, getting set up as well. 2 Stalkers, Oracle, all this on the way out. A couple more shield batteries building as well. I mean, one of these just walling this area off. And Stargate just chrono boosting out the Oracle, so getting this going. sOs is on the faster Nexus, but obviously a little bit slower overall as the Oracle flies in towards the mineral line here. Actually gets 5 workers before the shield battery finishes. That's a pain for sOs because you obviously feel like you're safe, but he doesn't know that this is actually a proxied Stargate, so the Oracle hits sooner than he's expecting, and because of that, does lose out on a bunch of probes that he was probably expecting to save. So Dia gets off to a really good start in this game number 6. And moving forwards, he's going to be looking for even more damage because now 2 Oracles together will get even more probes. 4, 5, again, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god, what an absolute disaster for sOs early in the game. Down to 15 workers. I mean, with his own Oracle going across the map, he's going to fly in. There's already a shield battery. There's already a Stalker. There is so little chance of anything getting done here. Robot Facility drops down from Dia as he just looks to maintain his advantage. The real Phoenix will shut down that Oracle as well as the Dia with a complete shutdown, making use of that Stargate even further. And well, now everything is just going wrong here for sOs. Who, what do you do at this stage? Like, absolutely everything so far has gone wrong for you. 2 Stalkers coming around, and they are going to be able to jump on towards that Phoenix, which takes quite a bit of damage. Oracle up the left-hand side, and just going to be seeing Stasis Ward setting up. Robot Facility about to finish here as well. And these Stalkers just continuing back down the right-hand side, and we'll see where they can get to as we're seeing a couple more probes continuing up. Observer on the way out in the main base, and this Oracle continues through the bottom side of the map to, well, once again, just looking for something, looking for anything. sOs is just trying to find a way that it doesn't get shut down by the Phoenix. Dia's pushing across with an 11 worker lead. Will build a forge behind it, but honestly, as it stands, just has so many units anyways. The Sentry uses a hallucination, so there's not even that many force fields available here. And I was going to see these Stalkers starting to press up this ramp. The force field will not stop this army coming up, and that is Phoenix lifting up one of the Stalkers. Dia taking game 6, and we are going to... Let's see who takes down this series for their team. Starting us off to the top right-hand side, our blue Terran player. Winning out in the first couple of maps today. To put them in the lead, it's a bit of deja vu. As we have Maru in the top right-hand side. Bit of deja vu back to Team LP when they played them. Maru came out, won the first 2 maps, and then came out in an ace match on New Repugnancy as well. Same map. Was able to win then. Will he win now as he goes up against the red Protoss to the top, bottom left-hand side? Give it up if you're cheering on Dia, representing Newbee. Now you might be noticing SCVs moving across the map, and Maru, this is not TVZ. I repeat, this is not TVZ. What are you doing? 2 barracks are going to build here because the second SCV is coming across as well. Gas? No gas? Is this just Marines? how often do you see a 2 racks in TVP? This is Maru just saying, you know what? Let's go full Pro League style. Where in the ace match where it comes down to this, we do a ridiculously cheesy build and just try and win here and now. Let the pressure get to my opponent and take advantage of it as we get ourselves into this now. There is the gas on the way. So what is the possibilities with this here? I mean, the gas is going to be too late to build anything initially off the first barracks. Dia not scouting, by the way, is about to put down his nexus, so no information for Dia yet. So it's just Marines so far. Maybe into a factory back at home as part of the transition. I feel like it's too late to do anything with gas across the map here unless you tech lab up and build a Marauder and concussive shells. But no, it's not going to be the case. It is just going to be Marines, and so it'll be the factory either at home or could be right here as well if the SCV wants to. As first SCV comes in, Deer is still playing completely blind. This probe even backs away to mine again. Oh my god. How is it that Maru gets away with this time and time again? Like, what a read on Deer. Thinking, or just knowing that he will not scout, and look at this. I mean, now an SCV and a Marine show up in the main base. There's already a bunker on the low ground. He's already denying mining with this. My god, as we can see a couple of these pros pulling back. Now he's going to go down to the low ground, and he's going to have a bunker with multiple Marines in it. And there is the factory at home. So he's going to force this to be one base versus one base. And he's going to be feeling very comfortable in that situation because one base Terran actually does pretty well against one base Protoss. He's going to be seeing that Nexus taking some hits. Well, there's the robo facility from Dia. Has to throw down something here, right? So getting this set up to go. And we've seen another gateway. Another gateway coming up now, and again, just a few Marines going to force the cancel. So it is a cancel, and now Marines are rallying home from those barracks. Maru is happy with what he's achieved. He's going to leave 3 Marines in here with the 1 SCV. Again, sending everything else back home. He is spreading them out as well, so scouting for any potential proxies. Wants to know if Deer is trying to get up to anything at all. Might even just leave these Marines up here to watch for drops in towards the main base. As Maru's factory has yet to build his tech lab for the Cyclone, if that's what he wants. It's just kind of sad. He has the gas to go into a starport as well, which I'm sure we'll see soon enough. So it is. Tech lab dropping down. A couple of gates continuing up. Immortal on the way, being corona boosted. Just going to see this starport dropping down here from Maru as well, so getting that up and running. Getting that starport rolling. We've seen Immortal continue to come out here from Dia in the main base. I mean, that's obviously going to be a big part of breaking out of that bunker. And G to see what Dia does as a follow-up here. Goes into the prism, has 3 gates. Definitely can go across the map to apply pressure, but will he be able to achieve much? I'm not sure. Maru is obviously done with being one base. Expanding here as he scouts the main with his barracks, so he gets good information. Bunker salvages. The Marines will save themselves to the top side. I love that, by the way, because now he can potentially come back in and get another couple of probes, and you're just not expecting that here, really, for Dia, right? To have a few Marines just poised up on the top side, and these probes are already long-distance mining, so absolutely the chance for Maru to come in and to get some kills. And look at this, he's going to intercept them going up the ramp even, so he's going to be able to guarantee kills, because otherwise these probes, I mean, they have nowhere to run. 1 probe dead. There's 2 still on the low ground. He's going to leave those for the moment as he goes up into the main. I feel like that's a bit greedy. But I guess if you go into the main, you're also almost guaranteed to kind of reach these probes in the end. And let's get 1 more kill as the units warped in at home as well. Means they're not warped in with this prism. So I guess that's another nice thing. Being able to force that warp in back at home. And you see the couple of tanks here, the Marines setting up the Viking firing away onto that warp prism. And these Marines going to be able to help push that warp prism away. So Dia does have to pull back over to the left-hand side. Maru's already lifted up his CC. I mean, with the tank range, he feels safe enough to be able to hold on against a push like what Dia's got going. So moves down to the natural, no fear at all. Barracks has finished up a reactor. Extra barracks on the way out as well, so no kind of funky mech styles or anything here. Just going into a very standard follow-up. The starport even building a tech lab, so potentially some cloakless banshees. We're going to be seeing a disruptor on the way out from Dia, and going to build gravitic drive to be able to set that up. Alright, so gravitic drive and a disruptor. Disruptor drop's going to be on the way, and we are going to be seeing this Raven on the way out as well from Maru. A couple more barracks continuing through, and yeah, all of this getting set up at the moment as the prism comes across the map. Dia is at least finally back onto his natural expansion now, as he will go in towards the Colossus production. So seeing a little bit of what Dia plans for in this game, and just says, I think, like, you know, if I'm going to be stuck on 2 bases for a while, I may as well build up into Colossus, which are very good at defending on 2 bases. disruptor shot, and Maru loses 3 SCVs. Couldn't quite split these ones up on the left-hand side well enough, and tank fire will be able to shut down those stalkers there. Might want to reposition one of the tanks a bit closer here so that disruptor can't drop in the same position, although a drop into the main base could be deadly as well. Maru with combat shields before stim, by the way. That sort of says, hey, I'm going to push in the very near future. So Maru is setting up to attack, because combat shields finishes that much faster than stim, and it doesn't eat away at the Marine's health. So actually, when you don't have any medevacs, or if you only have one medevac or so, combat shields is a much better upgrade to have. And here you go, with tanks, SCVs, and Marines, Maru's trying to take advantage of what happened here early in the game. Has that Raven as well for an interference matrix available. Stalker gets a shot off on the Viking, shot off on the Raven. This army of Maru is still pushing across over to the left-hand side, and here we go. Stalkers get a couple more shots once again, and tanks do siege, now unsieging. A little bit of back and forth, combat shields building up as well. Tank fire hits the Immortal. A couple of tanks gonna siege up once again. Interference matrix to hit the Colossus. And it just allows Maru to push further in, but now he's obviously missing an interference matrix for the actual fight. It's going to be very reliant on the tanks, as here we go, the Warp Prism coming through. Disruptor is going to land in the midst of all of this here. The tanks are busy target firing down the Colossus. The Disruptor hits, gets one tank very low. One of the tanks falls, but in general, Maru has pushed Dia's army back, and he's going to keep pressing forwards with SCVs repairing the siege tank. No fear at all, as this Disruptor was not off cooldown. That was a little bit of a, getting a little bit ahead of himself there. Dia liberated now, building for Maru as he gets another barracks. He's already got stim started, so continue to set up, still reliant on these siege tanks to save him against the Colossus. This army of Dia hanging out as we see siege tanks continue to press forward. This disruptor shot doesn't quite connect just yet. And now a few of these Marines picking their way through this pylon. Pylon will fall, a couple bunkers on the way up. Stalkers are going to intercept reinforcements here. And this is obviously quite nice, and we'll see them doing a pretty decent job of it, although one Stalker falls, but he should be able to, of course, get the siege tank, etc. as well. So it's going to be pretty reasonable as a few Marines getting behind them in row line and getting a few probe kills. A single Viking is currently fighting against all of this. The Viking will fall. And here we go. Dia's going to try and fight before the bunkers are finished. Stalkers on the backside. Liberator showing up. The two tanks still firing away where they can. One bunker finishes, but it's only one Marine inside, and Dia is going to be able to break through this position. And Dia's army is going to win out the fight, and Maru suddenly only has 25 army supply against 63, and he is in trouble as he's pulling back home. He has to pull off a defense right now, otherwise Dia is about to run away with this game and this series for Newbee. A much needed win for Newbee if they can get it here today. They're down at the bottom of the table right now. They absolutely need to turn this around, and that is what they are starting to do. If they can take down Jin Air Green Wings, what a win that would be for them. It would keep a lot of these teams at a very even position as well. As here we go, disruptor shots leading the charge in. Marauders and Marines are getting blown up. The two siege tanks to defend. SCVs will pull forwards. Tank trucks are doing so much damage, but 18 SCVs down. The Warp Prism Micro saves the Colossus for that much longer. Now the tanks are dead. It's just a couple bio units left as Dia pushes in with the +1 advantage as well. +1 moments away from Maru. Stim as well. He might be able to turn this away with a tank on the high ground, and Stim loses 2 Marauders though. Colossus shows up. The tank will go down, but he can push in with the Marauders maybe. It's just taking them so long to get rid of that Zealot, never mind anything else. And Maru has lost the SCVs anyway, so Dia's reinforcements would eventually win out, even if he was able to hold this off, which he isn't, as Dia marches into the natural expansion to take the series for Newbee. They take down Jin Air